I don't know what it is, but 70 of them fell off because Yahawashi said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. I think we're going to find it.
It's got a little bit more here.
Oh yeah, bring it.
Alright, we'll read it again. Ecclesiasticus 2, verse 4. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. Cheerfully, and be patient when thou is changed to a lower state. And I give you, you know these Christians, they do testimonies. And they stay there for like 20 minutes, praise God. They always go up and say something that good has happened to them. Alright? But in this truth, you're going to catch a lot of hell, man.
Do you know something? This is what I don't know.
Right, this is 2 Timothy 2, starting at 1. It says, Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Yahawashi HaMashiach, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses. The same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahawashi HaMashiach. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. So yeah, man, so when you come into this thing, you've got to expect even more trials and tribulations, man. You see these jakes in the world out there, man, they're going through some shit out there, but this brother can testify. Yeah. Coming into this truth, man, the Lord can put you through the ringer, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and when you come into this thing, you just got to accept that, man. Because that's the Lord building you up. He's trying you through the fire, man. That's right. Purifying.
That's beautiful, because verse 5, it says, Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 5, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. And when you're in this truth and your family members around you, when you're catching hell, I've catched a lot of hell, but when you have your family members, they can't choose, so you must be doing something wrong. But no, it's the Lord trying you, man. Like, you know when you go to the army, the British army or whatever, they break you down, sometimes humiliate you, and then they build you back up, so you can be an obedient soldier.
That's that Christian idea of that's that Christian doctrine, man. They think when you're with the Lord, He's going to give you all these things on this side of things, man. He's going to, that's what that's it, the prosperity doctrine, man. So that's why they think when you're catching hell, you're doing something wrong, man. You're supposed to be catching hell.
That's why somebody buys a car, they go before the congregation, and then they give that they testify. Yeah, they say
There's always things like that. There's always carnal things that they're testifying about. How they had no money one time. Gave them some money, or they didn't have a car to get to work, and the Lord found a way to give them money to buy a car to go to work. It's all carnal with them, man.
Yeah, man.
That's why Yahawashi said, my kingdom is not of this world, man.
That's right.
Brother Yahawashi, shut up, man. This guy's good.
Just carry on.
Carry on, man.
I love it in my heart.
Alright, I'll continue with this, yeah? It's alright, no.
As I was saying though,
Come on.
when Yahawashi, he's gone now, man. That's the spirit.
Yeah, he needs the word too.
When Yahawashi said, my kingdom is not of this world, right? What it means is that you gotta have a kingdom mindset, man. Alright? We're not.
Yeah, speaking about carnal things, innit?
Yeah, speaking of carnal things, we got a sports car there, man. You know? Okay. That's why the scriptures say set your mind on things above, man. Alright? Because that's why Yahawashi was annoyed with the disciples a lot of the time, man. Because he was operating on a higher level, man.
Yeah.
And it was his job to bring them up. Okay? To be on that level where they could now go out and teach, man. Alright? But when you're operating on that, like one time Apostle Tahar said this, man, it was true. You know when like once in a while he gets angry to boost your spirit?
Yeah.
And he was screaming in the video, shouting in the video, and he said, I hate being around fucking weak niggas, man. And that's true, like when you're on a higher level than in anything, man, and you're around people that's lower than that, and they can't keep up, it's annoying, man. That's how the Lord felt, man. You know, that's why you have to go through the fire, that's why you have to be shouted at. That's why you have to go through physical ailments. Because the Lord is like, come on, man, alright? You the prince of the power, man. You meant to be on a certain level. That's why it says take it joyfully, man. Okay? Because real love ain't saying, oh baby, I love you, come here, give me a hug and a kiss. Real love is I'm gonna smack you upside down for you to get this, man.
The trials of our faith right now, they're very little compared to the trials of our faith that are coming. You know, because we're almost at the time whereby it's no longer, it's literally no longer gonna be my job pays me on Friday and then I can go to the shops and buy food. Those times are coming. It's now literally every day you're gonna wake up. There's no plan about where your food is gonna come from, other than faith, man. You know, rejecting the chip is rejecting any means of survival. You know, that's a heavy trial of faith that's coming. So right now, so we're being built up right now, so that so that when the time comes, what did Yahawashi say about the people that build their houses on what? Not sand, a rock. The storms came, the winds came, the storms came, and beat upon that house, and the house did not fall. Okay, so right now we're trying to build our houses on a storm place, so that because the wind, the storms are coming, man.
Matthew 24:7.
Death sentences are coming. You know, if you understand death, and then somebody puts your head on the guillotine, are you gonna believe everything that you were taught? Are you gonna remember everything that you were taught? You know, because your faith can just fail you at that very moment. You know,
I've got a precept for that. Matthew chapter 26, verse 31, and it says, Then saith Yahawashi unto them, All ye have been offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Alright? So basically, the time's coming where it's going to seem like it's you and you alone, man. And you got to depend on all the prior knowledge that you were given, man. Alright? So when the what does it say? Slacker. I want to read it right. That's why when it says, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd. So when it seems like, oh, the Lord ain't with me, or now it's time to put into action all that I've been saying.
Yeah.
Alright, it says, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Okay? That's those people that they gonna be like, what? As this brother was saying, what do you mean are you gonna chop my head off if I don't? Oh no, okay, cool. I'm not an Israelite. I believe in Jesus now. Who's Yahawashi? That's the sheep being scattered abroad, man. That's why Yahawashi said, all ye shall be offended because of me this night, man. And what did the scripture say? In the hour of temptation, that represents the night time, man. When that night time comes, will you be offended of Yahawashi or because of Yahawashi? You know? That's why as we opened out, we were saying, man, seek the Lord whilst he's near, man. Because the time's coming where it's going to be you and your oil. Alright? You and your oil reserve, man. What you got in the tank is what's going to see you through.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because even when I was in hospital, when I was in hospital about a month ago, I had the phone, and there was one woman, she got a comment on one of my videos, and it's a woman that I know, man. And she said to me, she's in the truth, her mum died, and she said, I'm really struggling. And we have to understand that in this truth, Satan's going to mock with you, man. But the Lord's going to allow Satan to mock you to test your faith. Sometimes you might fall, but a righteous man does what? He falls
7 times.
7 times, and he gets back up. And 7 is a number of what? Completion, man. All right. See, the Lord is spiritual. Like me, I was in just to say, I was in a house fire. Alright, see, in my kitchen I had a fire, I burnt my hand and stuff. On top of all the stuff, other stuff I've been going through. But the first thing when I came out, when I was in the paramedics, in my head I was thanking Yahawashi. Because I knew that the Heavenly Father was not going to let me burn up, alright, when I'm doing His work, man. So those trials now are like a foundation. You know, like when you build a house, you have a foundation. If you ain't got the faith now, if you ain't got the strength now and to continue, when all hell breaks loose, I don't know, man. And there's gonna, Apostle said this as well, there's gonna be some people in GMS that when all hell breaks loose, they're just gonna freak out, man. And they might denounce everything. They might denounce Yahawashi, whatever. Especially who you got to worry about? Your women, your children, all right? Your mother, your dad, you know?
Wow.
But we have to work out our own salvation, man. So this is not an easy thing to be in.
Yeah.
But that's where the brotherhood comes in. That video that you did on brotherhood, I'll put it on my channel. That'll be on my channel.
That's cool, man.
That's it.
But you were saying about Satan's gonna mess with you, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One second. There's a one person I bring.
Quite a bit more, yeah? It says, believe in him and he will help you. Order thy right way and wait for the Lord's mercy.
Yeah, read that.
Alright? So Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Alright? And what does the word Satan mean?
Adversity.
Yeah, adversary, man. So Satan's gonna attack you, right? Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him. Verse 7. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fell.
That's beautiful, man. You know? Okay, trust in him, man. And when it says order thy steps aright, it means continue in the law, statutes and commandments and to do what's right, man. Continue in that mindset of, this is the Lord doing this to me, I have to endure, and Yahawashi will make it through, man. That's what it means to order your steps aright, man. Now you ain't gonna get it, but yeah, I find myself bringing this out all the time, man. But my favorite scripture, Joshua chapter 1, verse 4 to 8, man. And it says, be strong and courageous in the Lord, man. You see, because when you go through trials and tribulations, man, there's a lot of people that'll be, oh man, Lord, it's too much, I can't handle it anymore, oh I'm sorry. You have to be strong and courageous, man. You see, the Lord's not beating you down for you to stay on the floor and cover your face and quiver, man. The Lord's beating you down so you get up and say, all right, cool, I'm ready for round 2.
Yeah, right.
Beat you down again, round 3. And
Right.
when you keep getting up, the Lord's saying, all right.
Right.
That's you going through the fire,
Right.
being strong and courageous, man.
Yeah. That's right.
Bring it out.
Second Timothy 1 and 7. It says, for Yahweh hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
So that links up with Joshua 1 verse 4 to 8, man. We're not given the spirit of fear, man.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to be confident, alright? Because it's all well and good to be like talking the talk when everything's alright, man.
Yeah.
But let it be you against the wind, man. Let it be you against the heat.
That's right.
If you can still keep that spirit, that strength, you know, no fear type of mode on you, in righteousness, you know, some people are just cocky, you know, but if you can do all of this in righteousness, then the Lord will prove you, man.
Listen, it's Matthew 13 and 20, and it says, but he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while, for when tribulation and persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended.
Okay.
So pretty much like what we were saying, man. Eventually, it's gonna come to a point whereby certain situations it's gonna get heated up so much so that now you're gonna wind up forgetting all the things that you ever learned, casting the scriptures off. Okay, choosing to be alive by way either of the chip or to eat. Okay, yet all this time you were taught never to take the chip. You were taught what happens when you die. Okay, you understand that you're gonna be among the first in the chariots, but when the persecution arises, then we're showing you that you are not rooted and grounded in this thing. When persecution arises, then you cast off the truth away from you.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 11. For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy and long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in the time of affliction. Alright, so the elect and the 1/3, they're going to be saved in that time of affliction, which is coming very soon. Verse 12. Woe be to the fearful hearts and the faint hands and the sinner that goeth two ways. And our people, they're double-minded, man. 1 minute they're a Christian, then they say one thing, you show them the scripture that confounds them. Then, like one woman said to me, you know, near where I live, I said, a woman's not supposed to teach, and I showed her the scripture. She said, well, Paul said it. It wasn't Jesus.
Yeah, that's the people think that Paul came to contradict what the Lord said.
Yeah, you see? And she was one of our women, man. And I said to her, Hebrews 10:7, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me.
That was pride, man.
That was pride, man.
She knew the truth. That was just pride.
There you go, that was just pride.
She knew Paul was speaking, the Lord was speaking through Paul.
You guys, that's our people, man. That's why our people gotta go. Look, listen, in London, they're already killing each other. All right. So, you know, they're what's it called? Excess cargo.
Yeah.
They need to be taken out of the way, man. And the Lord is doing that, man. He said he's going to judge his house first. All right. And that's what we're here to warn you about. But while we're warning you, the stuff that we go through, and it's good that if brothers go through things, do a video on it, man. Because that will boost another brother or sister's spirit, man. All right? Because you don't know who's watching. Do you get what I mean? You don't know, you know, sometimes, I think it was you that had, no, I think it was Dawada. He had got a channel where he does sit-downs and stuff. And I think I was watching it, and it was something that I was thinking of. You know what I mean? Sometimes that happens, man. Remember, we will be talking in the car, and then we'll come to camp, and then it will manifest itself.
Every time.
Every time, man. Every time. So nothing is a coincidence. Everything is of the Lord, man. Alright?
This is concerning Paul. This is 1 Corinthians 14 and 37, and it says, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that are right unto you are the commandments of the Lord.
There you go, man. The commandments of the Lord. So that like you saying, that woman there in your yard that was trying to speak, alright, she deemed herself on some sort of spiritual level, some sort of teacher, alright? What did it say? Acknowledge the things that he's written unto us, man. Okay? And it's in the book that a woman has no authority, no business teaching, man. You know?
She wouldn't accept it, man. She just made excuses.
And you can't, so like you can't fight being killed in a race wars. You can't fight dying from famine. You can't fight a missile, man. Alright, so you can keep going as far as, but there's a cut-off point, man. Where, that's why the scripture says, man, Yahawashi said, all those who will not have me rule over them, bring them hither and slay them before me, man. Here you are claiming, and that's what Jacob would like to say as well, I don't need no man, Jesus is my husband. Okay, well when so-called Jesus come back, alright, let's see how much of a husband he is to you then, man. Okay?
Yeah. Their Jesus ain't coming back.
God. They gonna find out who the real so-called Jesus is, man.
It's another precept. This is concerning Paul again, and it says, 1 Corinthians 11 and 1, and it says, be ye followers of me, even as I am, even as I also am of Yahawashi. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you.
There you go. Why? Because he was a good example, man. Alright, it's alright to have examples in the truth, man. Alright? We have examples in the truth, but does it mean that the person that we're trying to emulate, does it mean that they're going against what the scripture says? Or that they're going against Yahawashi? No, man. That's why I said, follow me as I follow the Lord, man. Okay? So it's alright to follow men. Alright? Once they're following and keeping up with the correct doctrine, man. So to all you Christians that say, oh yeah, well Paul said this, like Paul is Messiah part 2. It's him versus Jesus or him versus Yahawashi. It doesn't work like that, man. He followed according to the law. He also followed according to what Yahawashi brought, man, which was building on the law.
Yeah, because I've heard people say that, man, in the world, man. I don't listen to anything that Paul says. Yeah. Because basically it's a stumbling block, because Paul's situation before he came in the truth, that's lack of understanding Paul's situation before the Lord raised him up. Okay? Because Paul, before the Lord raised him up, pretty much Paul was like, he was zeal, man, because remember, Israel was supposed to keep the ordinances that was given to them by Moses. So when Yahawashi came, it was like worshiping a different God. You know, they never knew, they never understood that Yahawashi was the Messiah who was promised in the scriptures. So it became like something a different doctrine other than what Moses gave us. Okay, until Yahawashi himself went to Paul and then taught him and pretty much gave him the explanation, and then Paul understood. And then Paul's zeal now turned away from doing the judgments of the laws according to Moses' way. He now started teaching people how the judgments according to Yahawashi. He started teaching faith, grace, okay, sin being taken away by way of Yahawashi, you know.
And that's why that's why Paul always counted himself the least man. That's why he said, "Oh, wretched man that I am," because he knew what kind of past he's coming from. But then again, Yahawashi had the ability to turn it around, man. You know. That's why, because Paul, he wasn't one of the 12, right? But he was still an apostle, man. Because when Judas fell out, Matthias took his place. They cast a lot, right? And Matthias took his place. But even Paul, he knew that there was an order to things, man. And he knew where he was coming from. That he used to be that guy that was against the Messiah, man. You know? So he came up in that order. So how the hell would he count himself the least of the apostles? Know that what he used to do was wrong, but then somehow still be in the faith and contradict the Lord.
Yeah.
That's why you Christians, man, the Bible's not for you, man. That Paul is going to be a guy that comes into the faith, but then changes it to go against the cornerstone of the faith. I don't listen to Paul. But Paul was teaching according to the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, which is Yahawashi. Yahawashi came to Paul directly, man. What the hell? Why the hell would Paul now teach a different doctrine?
It's like Galatians 1:11, and it says, But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. For I never received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Yahawashi Mashiach.
So everything that Paul taught was by revelation of Yahawashi Mashiach, man. Okay? So there's no contradictions in the scriptures. There's no school of thought like, oh well, I go according to this. I mean, you can go according to that, but I go according to this interpretation, man. No, the scripture says one Lord, one doctrine, one baptism, man. Okay.
Verse 13, and it says, For ye have heard of my conversation in time past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of the Most High, and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in my own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. So he was keeping the old tradition of his fathers, man. Or just like the Pharisees, until Yahawashi came and taught him that I've come now and fulfilled what I was supposed to do. Now salvation was no longer by the law, but by Yahawashi. All right. He says,
that's why John but that's why John, the cousin of Yahawashi, also known John the Baptist, he said that among men there's none greater born of women, man. Right? Why? Because of who he was in the past, but also because he understood that it's time to break away from the old tradition. He said, behold, I prepared a way for the Lord, man, whose shoes I'm not worthy to tie, man, basically. So John was that forerunner, man, bringing the way, because back then the Pharisees, as this brother was saying, they were all about upholding the law, and that's a good thing. They weren't wrong, okay? They were not so-called, they were the leaders of the nation at the time.
Because they sat in Moses' seat.
Can't. But if they really studied the prophecies, if they really had the spirit of Yahweh with them, they would understand that there's coming a time when the Messiah comes, as John said, I must decrease so he may increase, man.
So like, they knew the prophecies, and they knew the coming Messiah, but they just when he was there, Yahawashi, they just didn't want to accept him. That was the big issue they had, because the Lord blocked him from seeing who he was. That's why Yahawashi asked Peter, said, whom do you think I am?
God.
And he said, you are the son of the living power. And then he says, flesh and blood have not revealed it to you, but my Father which is in heaven. You know, so it was up to the Heavenly Father to open your eyes for you to see and accept who the Messiah was.
And also in addition to that, right, they didn't want to, along with them knowing, they just didn't want to give up the power seat, man. Because Yahawashi said they love to be called Rabbi, Rabbi, and Master, man. Oh, Rabbi, what does this mean in the scriptures? What does that mean? Oh, I want to be like you. That vain self-glory, man.
Yeah.
You know, lifting yourself up. They didn't want to let that go. That's why when Yahawashi came on the scene, they were like, They plotted to kill him, man. If you read through the Gospels, there's like 3 accounts of where they tried to take the Lord out, man.
Verse 15, Galatians 1 and 15, and it says, but when it pleased the Most High, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the heathen, immediately I conferred not with flesh and blood.
There you go, man. So the Son was now in him, man. Alright? So all that Paul was teaching, man, was all Yahawashi. That's why Peter said to a group of followers that Paul's writings are hard to be understood, man. Because Yahawashi himself spoke to Paul, man. He dealt with Paul. That's why his writings were on a higher level, man. You had to have some sort of backbone, some sort of foundation to understand what Paul was saying, man. Because his revelations were straight from the Lord, man. You know?
It's like those Pharisees and the wicked ones, they were in bed with the Romans, just like our leaders today, man. It's Isaiah said, your leaders put you to air, so they didn't want to give up their goodies as well, man. They had privileges, they had deals with the Romans, just like our leaders now, man. All of them. Listen, Farrakhan is only alive because he's working with the white man, man. All our leaders have sold out, man. We have our leader on the right-hand side of the Heavenly Father. That's our main leader, but we have teachers, man. And if you have teachers in a camp, you have order and instruction. Okay? Hey, that's training in itself, being in the camp. Taking orders, being rebuked, taking correction. Yeah. Even if you think it's unjust, hey, how you handle it.
Even in the kingdom, there's going to be order, man. Ain't going to be a free for all, like, oh, I made it now, I can do what the hell I want.
Yeah.
There's going to be order, man. The scriptures tell us that. All right. The Heavenly Father, Yahawashi, King David the 12th. All right. Then the elect. So there's an order. There has to be order, man. All right. And that's government, man. Because when you get into the word government, it means mind control, man. Alright? For a society, for a kingdom to work perfectly, you need to have some sort of control over the mind of the citizens, man. Alright? And how the hell can you have control if there's no order from the people that's given that stipulation, man? Alright? That's why the scripture says the Lord shall go out from Zion, man.
It's Sirach 10 and 1, and it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered.
Okay? The government of a prudent man is well ordered, man. Alright? So when your mind is under the correct control, alright, your steps will be ordered, man. And everything that comes out of your judgment will be ordered, man. Go on.
He says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are they that go therein.
Read that last line again.
He says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers.
There you go. So the law, statutes, and commandments, right? That's a small segment of the mind of the Heavenly Father, man. So that's why he said, let us make man in our image, man. All right. So for us to be a so-called mirror image or resemble the Lord in any sort of way, we have to keep His government.
Yeah.
Our minds are controlled by the law, statutes, and commandments, man.
Yeah.
That's why the scripture says it will be within us. All right. Keep reading.
And it says, "In what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are they that go therein."
There you go. So from the Most High to His Son, all right, to the elect in their order, all right, we're gonna make the nations be like us. Chain of command. So that, as the brother was saying, that spells nothing but order.
Exactly. So if the wicked rule the earth, what's the earth gonna be like?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And if the righteous rule the earth, what's the earth gonna be like?
Yeah, calm.
Quick one.
Precept. No, go on, you bring it up.
Isaiah 42:1, it says, "Behold my servant, whom I uphold, mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. I have put my spirit upon him, he shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles." So yes, just going into what the prophet was saying there. I mean, through the Lord, we're out here already bringing judgment to the Gentiles, man. But in the kingdom, we're going to be delivering real judgment.
Isaiah 2.
Yeah.
2 and that's the point.
Starting at 2, okay, I've got it. Isaiah 2:2, it says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord, that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains."
Hold on there. Mountain of the Lord shall be established. What's a mountain, man? A mountain is figuratively representing a government, a rulership, man. All right. So when it says mountain, see, that's why Esau, man, you're not cool, man. You think you know it all, but you're really not cool, man. All right. Oh yeah, we're going over to the land of Basra, and this is the mountain of the Lord. No, the mountain of the Lord is a government. It's a people. Go on.
And shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it.
I was looking for that though.
So I'll read it again. It says, "It shall come to pass, and it shall come to pass in the last days, that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem."
There you go. Hold on. And it said there's a mountain of mountains, right? Plural, because mountain is government. So in the kingdom, Elam gonna have their little government. Ammon gonna have all these nations gonna have their governments. But where would they get their idea of law from? It's gonna come from the house of the Lord. That's what I said. Let us go up onto Zion, okay? Because all these governments, they're gonna come to us and say, basically, how should we rule? All right. Now, when they say rule, I mean they're gonna have little leadership here and there, but ultimate power will be unto the elect. And Yahawashi, give it the right order, Yahawashi, and the elect, man. So when it says, let's go up to the mountain of the Lord, all right, for out of Zion shall come the law, monument, is talking about us, man. We will be the ultimate judges, man. What's done with that?
Just one more last bit. It says, verse 4, it says, "And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore."
So there ain't gonna be no more wars, no more political tensions in the kingdom, man. Ain't gonna run like that, man. All right.
So when the righteous government gets set up, then the end of world war is gonna end of the wars in the world are gonna cease now, man. Okay. Right now, man, as long as we're still at the bottom, man, death, destruction, wars, everything is always gonna continue, man, until the actual government of the Heavenly Father gets set up. That's a real quick to show you that we're gonna be the nations are gonna be learning the law of us. Is Revelation 5, verse 9. It says, "And they sang a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to the Most High by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth." So we're gonna be kings and priests. Who we're gonna be priests to? The other nations, man. We're gonna teach them what not to eat, how to live.